So hello, this diary is in a little bit of a different vantage point today. We are pitch side at the Atlanta Stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, normally one of the most stunning arenas you will visit. It's going to host the semi-final in the competition, and that sort of reflects the status it holds. But on Monday evening, it's also going to be the stage of what hopefully will be the most memorable night of the career of Pico Lopes. I know that Ireland are not in the World Cup. It's still a little bit raw for people. Would have actually been playing in this arena on Thursday, but it's hard to think of anyone more steeped in Irish football that's been involved in this competition than Pico. He's a career League of Ireland player. If he's going to become, hopefully, all going to plan, the first active League of Ireland player to feature in this competition. And it comes after a career that he's spent entirely at home. He's a complete product of football in Ireland, and he's come through schoolboy football and the League of Ireland level, and so many people, his story sort of resonates with so many people, and you feel the good wishes for him on that basis. And yeah, I mean, for him and for his family, his good friends, this is the start of an incredible journey. His wife Leah is traveling in a camper van with their 8-month-old son Diego, some of her family, across to the three venues. They go to Miami and they go to Houston. I think they're all just struggling probably to get their head around the enormity of this. I mean, Leah jokes, I think she's sick of the LinkedIn story. I think it's well told at this stage how it came about that he didn't respond to a call initially from Portugal, or a message from in Portuguese, from the Cape Verde manager in 2018. He responded later, and I suppose the rest is history. And he's been in 2 African Cup of Nations, but to get to the World Cup is just bringing it to another level. And I think we were very lucky over the weekend to get the chance to catch up with Leah and her family and to chat to her about, I suppose, how they're just getting their head around the fact that they are here, that this is happening, and that Pico was about to play in a World Cup.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm delighted for him. It's a dream come true for him. But for us, I suppose, we keep waking up and saying to each other, like, can't believe we're in America, can't believe we're here, can't believe we're at a World Cup. We're going to, not just at a World Cup, but we have somebody playing in a World Cup. Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's the stuff of dreams.
Can you tell me how many people are here with you then? What's your gang that's inside there?
Yeah, so there's a big gang of us. There's 6 adults and an 8-month-old baby. Yeah. So me, my mum, my dad, my brother, and my 2 best friends, Nadine and Shannon, and 8-month-old Diego.
Yeah, who doesn't really know what's going on.
Oh, he hasn't a clue what's going on, but he's having a ball, and that's the main thing. So he's happy, and yeah, he hasn't a clue, but we'll be able to look back and tell him that we came to see his daddy play in the World Cup.
Like, his first time is, like, just to be clear, his first time ever on a plane is a transatlantic flight to see his dad play in the World Cup.
Like the furthest he went before this was like a trip to Wexford.
Yeah.
And now he's in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, so it's a bit wild. We did a long haul flight with him, and I was really nervous, but he was actually amazing on the flight, and he was great crack, which I didn't expect. And yeah, we brought him here because you couldn't miss it. And I know he's only 8 months, and people say, like, you're crazy traveling with an 8-month-old, but like, how could you miss your daddy playing in a World Cup? And so I had to bring him. Can
you get your head around it? I mean, this is the thing. You've been together a long time. You're a sports person. You play camogie yourself. You know that it's not always a glamorous world being in the League of Ireland, right? You're not. I think your dad said inside there, normally someone in the World Cup should be living in some mansion in London or something, and life was quite normal to a point, and then all of a sudden you've gone on this journey. It's sort of hard to really get your head around that, I'm sure.
It's crazy. Like, Pico's from Crumlin, I'm from Dolphins Barn. We live on a little road in Kilnamanagh. And to say that he's in a World Cup, those things don't really go together, usually. And yeah, you're right. Like, it's not always glamorous, and the life of a sports person is not always glamorous. Pico is so dedicated, and I see the hard work that he puts in every single day, down to his recovery and what he eats, and being so committed and so dedicated. And you know, it's crazy. But I'm so happy for him that this is where it's led him, and down like a really unexpected route. But I'm biased, but I think it's a very deserved thing that's after happening to him, because he's so dedicated and he's so committed to what he does.
Of course, like we're talking about Diego, like the story of his birth is also wrapped in with the qualification. I kind of forgot this, that I was looking at the stats of Pico in qualifying, and he played in 9 out of 10 games. And I was like, why didn't he, what was the story? What was going on? It's because he was coming home, basically. All of that was going on around then.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was due to have Diego in and around the last game where they could have potentially qualified for the World Cup. And, you know, Pico had said to me, look, I can't go. I'm not going to go because I don't want to miss the birth of our baby. And, you know, we spoke about it at home, and I just said to him, Pico, go. It'll be grand. Like, you've worked your whole life for this. You've put in like blood, sweat and tears into your career, and like, you know, you can't miss this moment. You have to go for it. And he went, and they played the game, and they qualified for the World Cup. But on that day that they played the game, I was brought into the coombe to be induced to have the baby. So I tried to hide it from him. He FaceTimes me before every game, and I got the FaceTime when I was in the coombe, and I was like, oh God, I have to hide this. Like, I can't let him know that I'm in the hospital, because I didn't want to put him off his game. Like, I didn't want him to be like nervous going into the match or whatever. So I like found a blank wall in the coombe and just FaceTimed him there.
Sorry, what situation were you in at this stage? Were you in a trolley or something? Or were
No, I was told that I was going to be induced.
So it was before you'd been induced?
Yeah, it was before I was
Yeah.
induced. So I found like a blank wall, and I answered the phone, and I was like, yeah, everything's grand. The checkup went grand, and ring me after the game, it'll be fine. And then after the game, he rang me, and then I was in a hospital bed, and there was no hiding it then.
Yeah.
So for that FaceTime, he rang me, and straight away he saw that I was in hospital and I was being induced. But like, thankfully, he made it home. Yeah. He made it home in time.
And could you just tell me some of the things, because we've spoken a little bit about it inside, some of the things that people in your community have done leading up, like what the last couple of weeks have been like? Because I think you mentioned, you know, old schools and you know, various sort of places in the area have been in touch. What's that just been like? It's been a little taste of the World Cup for your community, basically.
Yeah, and it's been gorgeous. Like, and people have really gone above and beyond to show their support from it. So the people on our road in Kilnamanagh, you know, from our house all the way down to the end of the road, have Cape Verde flags out the windows and bunting. I have like past students whose parents are putting Cape Verde flags out the windows. And his old primary school, Loreto Primary School in Crumlin. So the whole school have had this flag up in the school.
So this is from there. This flag is from there.
Well, actually, Pico's neighbours got this made.
Okay.
His mum's neighbours, and they brought it into the school, and they hung it up in the school, and all the primary school kids in Loreto College Crumlin have been making posters for Pico, Cape Verde flags, and they've just been cheering them on. It's like the support has been incredible, and like really unexpected, but just really gorgeous to see so many people getting behind them.
So after Atlanta then, I think your friends inside have got the whole itinerary mapped out, but after Atlanta you were getting in the camper van and you were travelling across the country, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we're crazy, but we're getting in a camper van after Atlanta, and we're going to travel down to the next game in Miami. We're going to stop off in Orlando for a little bit, probably do some of the theme parks, and go to New Orleans. I think there's a night in Tallahassee, and then we'll eventually end up in Dallas for the last game. Oh, Houston.
Houston. I think it's Dallas. I think you're going to Dallas and then Houston. But
yeah, Houston for the last game, and we fly home from Dallas.
Right.
Yeah.
These are all first world problems compared to the typical, you know, the typical sort of League of Ireland footballer's wife situations. Like which city am I going to be at for the last World Cup game? When you think about that, you know, it's
crazy. Like, and it's just a situation that I never thought we'd ever be in. Like, and it's incredible. And it's going to be like lifelong memories that we're creating. Just really happy for him.
Yeah, so that is just a little sense of the the excitement in the ranks. And one thing that Leah also mentioned as well, was telling us about, is that a couple of weeks back, a Brazilian television crew went to Cabo Verde to catch up with Pico's 98-year-old grandfather. I think he might actually be turning 99 this month, who still farms on the land at home in Saint Nicolau, one of the 10 islands of Cape Verde that make up Cape Verde. Sort of reflects the interest in his story, the interest in the Cape Verde story. And it's just not just, I mean, obviously there is a little bit of an Irish angle here that naturally you're going to hone in on, but there is just that general sense that their participation in this competition has captured the wider world as well too. So this is stage one for them. You know, the family are going on a trip. Pico's parents are here too, and his brothers. You know, between them, you know, they're making their way across the country in various ways, and this is probably just the most glorious stop on what has been a very impressive football journey to this point. So we'll see how it goes. Monday evening, 5 o'clock Irish time. No Lamine Yamal, no Nico Williams in terms of starting. Might get on the pitch. And I think that while this is the game that's obviously circled for Cape Verde, it probably is worth making the point that with the format of this competition, Uruguay up next. At the end, it would be Saudi Arabia. That might be their chance to get the points on the board, but I think they're going to savour this moment.